17 years old. I was working a construction job in Texas and met up with, actually arranged a meeting with a guy named Brad Hunt from MCA Records, who they were just a shipping and receiving office. They didn't do any A&R or creative stuff. They just shipped and received albums from their warehouse to the stores. But he believed in me enough to call the head of A&R in Nashville, a man named Leon Tasilis, who they said, this guy's going to be a star someday. Can we get him to Nashville and can you do something with him? And so I moved to Nashville in the summer of '79 and did the deal with MCA. They passed on me because my music was, quote, too primal at the time, a little too heavy for Nashville in the '70s. But I fell in love with the town, the fact that music lives and breathes here. There's a musical spirit in this town that you can't find anywhere else. Dreams do come true in Nashville. So I felt like it was the right place for me to be at the time. And I was living on Music Row, and I'd pretty much run out of money, and I would go down to the local music store. I'd walk down there. When I break a string on my guitar, I couldn't afford to buy a whole set of strings. So you break a string on your guitar, well, you scrape up enough change to go down to the local music store and say, man, I need an E string. You know, and they put your change on the counter, they give you an E string, you go back, and now you got 6 strings on your guitar again. The guy behind the counter, his name was Art Beard. He was working at the music store. One day I go in to buy a string, and he says, man, you know, I got this band I'm working with. I think I'm going to go in a different direction, but, you know, if you want to audition for the gig, I'll take you with me tonight, and you can, you know, they can meet you. So Art turned me on to these guys, Chris Famous, Bill Reese, Kevin Beecham, and Bill Garrett. They had a band called Tabu, T-A-B-U. And at the time, man, I was 17. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But they felt that same thing about me, that this guy's got something. He's going to be a star someday. He's got this magic, this charisma, this passion for music. So they gave me a shot, and we ended up spending 9 months creating and writing. And those guys are going to be here at my gig tonight, Bill Reese and Chris Famous. We're going to get on stage together again for the first time in 34 years. They had a huge influence on me because there was no prejudice in that band. We played rock, punk, funk, country, metal, whatever anybody created. We would learn it, we'd work it up, and we'd play it. So it was extremely diverse. There's 3 black guys in the band, Chris and Little Bill and Kevin, who sang the most amazing 3-part harmonies. Taught me so much about singing harmony. Chris Famous taught me so much about fronting a band and that charisma that you have to be a front man. Because I was the lead guitar player at the time. I wasn't the lead singer in Tabu. So we did one gig at Flanagan's, 100 Oaks Mall. Our keyboard player had passed away. He died literally in rehearsal behind the Hammond B3 organ. And Kevin Beecham, God rest his soul, man, 23 years old, he passed away playing a song, in rehearsal. It was a cerebral hemorrhage, aneurysm, heart attack, kind of a hereditary thing that he didn't know he had. So it wasn't a drug overdose or anything. It was totally natural. He didn't even know he had this disease, man. He just died right in front of the band, right there in rehearsal. Taught me a lesson that day that has stuck with me every day since. This might be your last song. Play it like it's your last song. And that has stuck with me ever since. It's been an invaluable lesson. There are no small shows. There are no meaningless songs. So after Kevin died, obviously it was a weird place to be, and I felt it was time for me to move on. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. I went to a Rush concert here in Nashville, the Municipal Auditorium, and I was always the guy dressing up. I had the hair and the earrings and the leather pants and cool pants. I always tried to look the part. Before I knew how to sing, I was a rock star already. And I met these guys at the concert, and they said, "Hey man, you sing, play?" "Yeah, I sing. We're players too," and we exchanged numbers. And I thought that was it. Went home, and it wasn't long after that I was listening to KDF radio, a little clock radio by the bed, and they were having a Battle of the Bands contest on Sunday night. They were playing all the local bands on the radio, and people would call in and vote for their favorites. And I heard this band come on the radio that just blew the speaker right out of the clock, man. It was called Lust. And I thought it was great. I mean, it was great production, great solid song with great vocals on it. And so I called the radio station. I voted for him. I said, "Yeah, Lust, man, that's great stuff." And turns out that Mike Easley had sang on, he was the drummer at the time, he'd sang on the demo. So they didn't have a lead singer. all of a sudden they were voted into this Battle of the Bands competition where they had to perform live, and they needed a front man. So they called the guy with the long hair and the earrings and the leather pants. They said, hey man, we want you to sing for us. We got a gig Sunday at Flanagan's. We're competing in this Battle of the Bands. We want you to be our front man. And I go, no, man, I don't think I want to do that, man. I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to pursue my own solo career. I really don't know if I can fit in with this screaming heavy metal thing that you guys are doing. It's great stuff, but I don't know if it's me. But they were very persistent, called back. Every couple hours, they would call me, come on, man, come sing with us. Finally, 3 days before the gig, I said, all right, quit calling me. I'll join your band. Where are you guys rehearsing at? Well, I had to audition. You know, they wanted me to get up. They were having a few different singers come out and audition for the band that night. And it was out in Murfreesboro. And we didn't have any GPS at the time, man. This place is out in the woods somewhere. So I got lost. The directions were pretty sketchy. I got lost. I'm driving around. I had my first wife, Kathy Wolf, with me. She's passed away now too, but she was a big supporter in a lot of ways of me doing the rock star thing. So she went with me to the audition, and we drove around. We're probably 2 hours late by the time I finally find this place in the middle of nowhere where these guys are rehearsing. And I go up to the door, and I'm decked out. Of course, I got my rock star clothes on. Man, I got my hair done, scarves, and I was all metaled out. And I go up to the door, and I look through this round window. They're in there jamming, and there's a guy, he's on stage, he's singing, and he sounds really good. And he's a good-looking kid, singing real well. I thought, man, I'm too late. They've already got the guy. This is their guy. I mean, they're rehearsing. I'm too late. We're going home. My wife says, no, you're not. You're going in there. And I said, nah. She pushed me through the door. And I walked into this auditorium. These guys are up on empty, just a couple of guests, maybe girlfriends or whatever, hanging out. And they're up there playing. And they all look at me. And then they stopped the song. And I said, hey, guys, I'm sorry I'm late. You guys sound great. Can I just hang out and watch? We drove all the way out here. I just want to hear you guys and hang out for a little bit. And the bass player, Tim Morrison, turns to the rest of the band and says, look at this guy. Let him sing. So they got me. The guy who was singing, he was standing there pretty much kind of holding a lyric sheet, reading the lyrics off the page, and singing great, but just standing there with the lyrics. And I get up there and I flip my hair around, I look at the lyric sheet, I wad it up, throw it down, grab the mic stand, start twirling it, start rocking out and screaming my guts out. Other dude just left. I got the gig. It's like obvious, okay, this is the guy. And just from sheer, I don't know what you call it now, insanity, basically. So I got the gig, wrote a few lyrics to some of their pieces of music. We got on stage that Sunday night at Flanagan's at 100 Oaks Mall here. And it was the first time that I'd ever gone on stage to a packed house of people with their fists in the air, screaming and rocking out. And that is more powerful than any drug that I've ever done. That adrenaline rush that you get from that crowd when they do that kind of thing, it was addicting. And we ended up taking first place in that Battle of the Bands contest. Immediately, we were in the studio recording, and wasn't long after that those recordings were on the air. KDF was playing the music on the radio, and it kind of spiraled from there. But to be honest with you and everybody else, I didn't know what I was doing. I was not a good singer at the time. I was a rock star, but I was not a very good singer. And my results in the studio were embarrassing, to say the least. So these guys realized after a couple months that, man, we probably did the wrong thing. We should have kept that other guy, and they were going to fire me because they said that I would never be able to succeed in this business. I was never going to be able to make records and tour. So they were going to fire me. And the bass player, who was my friend in the band, came to me and says, look, dude, they're going to fire you tomorrow. They don't think you can cut it. You're going to get fired. So I quit. Of course, quit before you get fired. And I quit the band just in time, and had gone to a Van Halen concert with a friend of mine who was a singer in a band called Sniper here in town. They were playing at Cantrell's. I'd go see them. They were the other band in town that rocked out. Only they were way more theatrical and dressing up kind of like I was. Lust was more AC/DC, t-shirts and jeans, that kind of thing. But these guys in Sniper, they were putting on a show. And I thought they were cool. They had that Motley Crue thing going before Motley Crue did. And we went to see Van Halen at the Municipal Auditorium. And David Lee Roth was at the top of his game, doing the splits off the drum riser, screaming his guts out, drinking the Jack Daniels, telling the stories, and had that arena in the palm of his hand. He was absolutely amazing. And Bruce, the other lead singer, I quit. I can't do that. I'll never compete with that. And I'm going, man, I want to be like that. He says, I quit. I said, well, can I have your band? I took his band. You know, I joined forces with the guys in Sniper. We ended up calling it Steeler, and quickly became, we had a lot of notoriety in Nashville because we were the motley crew of Nashville at the time. We were the only guys dressing up, putting on a show with pyro and leopard skin guitars, and you know, we were an apple tree in a cornfield, so to speak. And after going through about 9 months of that Nashville club scene, I felt it was time to make the move to LA. So the band and the crew, we all went to LA together, and the rest is history. Ended up recording an album with a later incarnation of Steeler that became the biggest selling heavy metal independent record of all time, the Steeler album, the debut from 1983, which featured Yngwie Malmsteen. And the success of that album enabled me to form my own band called Keel. The success of the first Keel endeavors in Los Angeles, our first show was 1,800 people, sold out. We were immediately on the radio, in the studio, selling out big gigs. We got a lot of attention very quickly, and the attention of Gene Simmons at A&M Records signed us to our deal. I went on to record several albums, 2 albums that Gene produced, which charted in Billboard's Hot 100. All of a sudden I was a rock star, had my dreams come true. We came back that summer after The Right to Rock was released. It was my homecoming gig, coming back to Nashville at One for the Sun, which was a big event they had out at Hermitage Landing. And to be headlining the event, coming back home as Keel. This isn't that much time later. I mean, only a few years had passed, 3 or 4 years maybe. And I come back and I'm headlining, and Autograph, Steppenwolf, Van Zandt, Johnny Van Zant's band signed to Geffen, they were all opening for us. We're headlining the biggest concert in Nashville that summer. And I pull up in my tour bus. You know, I'm going in the parking lot and I see out the window, well, there's those guys that were going to fire me a few years back because they thought I'd never amount to anything. And God bless them, they were right, man. It wasn't, who could have foreseen that I would actually, you know, work hard enough to perfect my craft and become the singer that I wanted to be. So, and now I am in control of my instrument, my voice. It's a skill that I learned. At the time, I did not have those skills, but I had the drive and the passion to not give up. So I pull up, and there's Ken Kennedy and some of the other guys. My ex-wife, Kathy, they're all standing, they're waving at the bus. And I told the bus driver, pull over. Opened the door, said, come on in. And I had them on the tour bus, and they were hanging out with me. And Ken Kennedy goes, damn, Ron, you really did it. You know, that was a good feeling. And I had no hard feelings or ill will for because he was going to fire me. I probably deserved to get fired. But there have been people that did believe in me, that stuck with me, that thought I had what it took, and those are the people I still sing for. Now to come back to Nashville for my first show here in about 10 years. My band Iron Horse did some work here. When I lived here from 2002 to 2006, Nashville was home base, and my band Iron Horse made a pretty strong push here in the business, trying to get signed, doing a lot of shows, doing a lot of recording, and so Nashville once again was my home for 4 years, not that long ago. But it's been almost 10 years, I think 2005 maybe, that I did my last concert here, and here it is almost 10 years later. To come home and to realize in the fan interactions that I've had the last few days, doing radio interviews like this one with you, being able to tell my story, talk about history and put it in perspective, and to realize that I get emotional talking about it. I had an effect on this town and people that followed in my footsteps. Steeler was the band that took a shot. We went to LA and we tried to make it. Everybody else pretty much stayed here. Steeler was the only band in the 80s metal era that relocated from Nashville to Los Angeles to take our shot. And that legacy now, we can put it in perspective, and it means more to me than I thought. It means more to a lot of these fans and people that appreciate what I did and what I tried to accomplish. So I'm excited about the show tonight. I'm excited to be back in town for my first concert in Nashville in so long, and It feels good. I'm a little nervous. I'm excited. It's going to be a little emotional for me, but Nashville's always going to be home. I'm very proud of the rock bands like Liquid Courage, who's on the bill with me tonight, and some of the other bands that I'm supporting here locally. Not only the guys like John Corabi or Winger or Cinderella or Slaughter who live here now, these rockers now make Nashville home like I once did, but the bands that are slugging it out in the local scene, trying to do the same thing I was trying to do 30 years ago, and it brings me home, not only physically, but musically and emotionally as well. Nashville, I love you, and you'll always be home to me.